spread love, spread love, spread love.
This is the first Spread Love interview in a hot minute, but we wanted to make it special for y'all. And so I'm here with someone y'all might already know, a good friend of mine, my co-host from Food, Fitness, and Fun, Sensei Dre. Right? Applause, round of applause, round of applause.
Or Strong J.
Strong J.
Strong J.
Right.
Strong J.
Strong J. All right, so let's get to these questions. We're familiar enough, and my audience has probably seen you too many times. And so let's get to it. So, top of the list, how long have you been a sensei / martial arts teacher?
Probably a good 25 years now, something
Okay.
like something like
So like
25 or
99.
30. Yeah, like 25, 30 years now, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
25 is 99, so
Yeah.
you think 99 or sooner than that?
It could be a little bit sooner than that. So I'm saying
so
around.
it's a long time.
Yeah. So maybe that's what I'm saying, 25 to 30.
Some of y'all might not even have been alive at that time.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Some of
About
y'all
25,
watching this
30
be like,
years.
oh, I was born that year. You know?
Yeah, 25, 30 years I've been doing this.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
All right, so you say all the time on Food, Fitness, and Fun, the sensei of a whole bunch of other stuff.
You ain't never heard of.
Right. And so what does the sensei of a whole bunch of stuff teach?
All right, so first of all, I'm going to reveal where I got that from. That's not an original line.
Oh, no?
No. So,
Oh, getting the good shit here, folks.
Yeah, if you ever watch the movie, and I'm so bad with names, but you remember I'ma Get You Sucker? Did you ever
Yes.
watch I'ma Get You Sucker?
Yes.
Okay, and you remember Kung Fu Joe?
Heard of it, but never watched it.
Yeah, so if you ever watch the movie Kung Fu Joe, and maybe you could put it in here, you'll probably find it if you watch it.
It's in there?
Yeah, so if you watch Kung Fu Joe, that's how he sort of like introduces himself. He's like, because he has like all these like specialties, and he's like, I know Kung Fu, karate, jiu-jitsu, and a whole bunch of shit you ain't never heard of.
Got it.
Right, and I always love that line. And my partner Doug, we would say that to each other all the time. So that's the funny part of it. But the truth is, yeah, I do know a lot of things. So
Right. Not only know, but teach.
and teach. So I am an instructor in Shotokan karate.
Okay.
And I also do jujitsu or something. And when I say some things you never heard of, so there's things like called Aki jujitsu.
Okay.
Which is, all coming from like Japan, as well as some kung fu that I know. And then there's like the fitness stuff, So to me, sensei is not just a thing of karate. Sensei is, to me, is a very broad meaning that just means teacher.
Okay.
And so whether you're teaching martial arts, philosophy, math, theology, all that, the way I see it is all sensei,
Okay.
So when I meet people, who are like doing things, I think once on our Man Cave podcast, I was talking to a couple of cats and it was like, yeah, y'all all sensei, you know what I mean? It's like, as far as I'm concerned, because everybody is like teaching and giving, and that's what a sensei is, someone who's giving of himself so that this other person can grow and become strong.
Okay.
In anything, whether you could be a sensei of finance, you know what I'm saying? It's like if you're teaching people how to be better with their finances and understand what finances are, or understand what the stock market is, or understand, anything, it's like, oh, now I have knowledge of this thing and I know how to use it.
Right.
That's really what I'm saying when I'm like a whole bunch of other things.
Right.
Because it goes outside the realm of just martial arts,
Understood.
Yeah. But
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
No, but in terms of martial arts, it's like all those things I just mentioned, self-defense, all these other things.
Right,
Yeah.
but you also a fitness instructor now.
Yeah, and I'm a fitness instructor. So yeah, I've been doing And I've been into fitness for
Well, we'll get to that.
years, but yeah, so I also do fitness instructing as well, personal training, as well as, you know, groups and things like that, you know.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I remember it was a group of us you were teaching at one point,
Yeah.
and it was fitness. And so, yeah. What made you want to teach?
I always came from the mindset, the camp of the philosophy of way you live in your life is you give back what was given to you.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like if someone taught you how to cook so that now you feed yourself, you should be teaching people how to cook.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If someone taught you how to fish, then you should be teaching people how to fish.
Right.
Like you owe it to society. It's sort of that philosophy of paying it forward.
Okay.
You know, so that's sort of like my life belief is that when you get something, the way you honor that gift that someone gave you is to teach it to somebody else. You know, you don't let your lessons die with you. Right?
Okay.
We all have a limited time on this planet.
That's true.
Whatever you learn should have been taught and deposited into as many people as you possibly can. So this is the sort of philosophy that got me into teaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been practicing martial arts?
Wow. So I've been practicing martial arts since I was a kid, and it's hard for me to say when I started, but it has to be like junior high school / high school. So
Okay.
I believe in junior high school, I was sort of like playing with the idea. So my partner, my dude, Doug, he was already training in it. And Doug's the type of dude, you know, that if someone teaches him how to do A, he's gonna be like, yo, let me show Dre how to do A. You know what I mean? So he was learning martial arts traditionally, like whatever. But then he would start teaching me, you know. But when you're kids, it's you turn everything into play, which is not a bad thing to do
No,
because
it's a
that's how
great way
you
to
learn,
yeah.
right? Then, so it wasn't formal teaching, but he was definitely giving me some things.
Dropping gems on you.
Right. Then Doug started to learn Shotokan karate, right? And he was learning in a community center across the street from me, right? Because
okay.
I grew up in East New York projects back in Brooklyn,
Right.
and it was called Baptist Houses. I don't know if it's still around today.
Quick
But,
Google search, bro.
yeah, but
Another
Baptist Unity Plaza Baptist Houses in East New York. And so they had a community center, and he was training with I'm saying our instructor now, but at the time, the instructor, I didn't know this guy.
Right.
And he started doing Shotokan, and he was getting real nasty, right? And so one time we were still kids. I want to say junior high school or maybe high school. I can't nail it down in my brain. But we're still playing, and you know, kids play karate,
Yep.
right?
Sure do.
And so we're playing karate.
And shit got real.
Well, I'm, you know, you've been in projects, you know how it's like I'm under the steps, and it's like just those little 3 steps before you go into like the first floor where, you know, so it's like just 3 little steps. I'm on the bottom, Doug is on the top, right? Doug takes 3 steps, jumps in the air with a side kick the right way and kicks me dead in my chest. And I was like, what was that?
Right.
Right?
That hurt,
What?
but wait a minute. Forget about that for just a second.
Right.
How'd you do that?
What was that?
You know what I'm saying?
That was not what they showed on Sunday Kung Fu, bro.
Nah.
Right? And I was just like, wow. And then he was like, I told you, you should learn karate. And I'm like, I think I'm kind of open to it now.
I mean, if I could sidekick cats like that.
I think I'm kind of open to it. And, you know, he like brought me across the street and introduced me to, now I can say our sensei. And yeah, I never kind of looked back after that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. All right. Well, we spoke about you teaching multiple things.
Yeah.
And so I guess the question now would be, how long have you taught each subject? And so I know I met you as a sensei of martial arts, and we were co-workers, but you've changed now and you're also doing fitness. And so for the audience, for context, and so they could kind of get a better picture of Dre, how long have you been doing each thing?
So I also forgot to mention that I'm also a teaching coach. So I'm a teaching artist coach now too. Sometimes I lose track of what I do. You know what I mean? But every day I'm like observing other teachers and teaching them how to be better teachers, you know? And they all call me sensei. So, which I prefer. So we could start with that because I think that's the earliest thing. So I've been being a teaching artist coach. That's what I do.
That's the title.
Yeah, I'm a teaching artist coach. So no matter what subject someone teaches, let's say they are a yoga teacher or they're a music teacher, what happens is that, you know, people, artists, let's say, you know, have like, you know, great ideas, or they have like this thing that they love to do, playing the trumpet, teaching kids yoga, or teaching kids videography or something, whatever art, right? And then they want to bring that thing into the school,
right?
You know, which is great, because the reason why it's great is because, you know, you take my art, like karate is not cheap, you know what I'm saying? And because you can price people out, and rather than enjoying this beautiful art, whatever the art is, because they can't afford it, they won't have access to it. So it becomes a thing only for like affluent or working class people.
Correct.
So when you can bring it into a school system somehow, everyone can kind of benefit. That artist is going to make their money and kids will get exposed to these arts.
Right.
So the idea in education anyway should be, in the way I feel, and a lot of people might feel this way too, is the more arts you bring into education, different disciplines and stuff, the better or more well-rounded a student you'll have, which turns into an adult, a person. You'll have a better, well-rounded person. The problem is, a lot of times, a great artist may not necessarily be a great teacher.
This is true.
And so you could take someone that's like killing it on the trumpet or something, but they don't have any idea what to do into a classroom in terms of classroom dynamics.
Right.
And so I come in and say, yeah, continue to be a dope, you know, artist. Like, that's your thing. Let me give you some tools on how to be a better teacher, so you can take that art that you do and everyone in this classroom can benefit from it. And so I'd say I'd probably been doing that for the past like 5 years. Yeah, probably like 5 to 6 years, something like that. I've been doing that.
And fitness instructor?
Fitness instructor, I mean, like you said, I was instructing y'all, so.
Right, and so that I can say was, I know for certain that for me, and it started with just me and you.
Yep.
Which I know it came from somewhere else first, but
it
became me and you, which then became me, you, and others, which then became me and others.
Yeah.
But that was 2013.
Yeah. So that's a solid like 11 years, right?
Yes.
So, and I can go back a little bit before that. So if I had to round it out, I'd probably, let's call it 12 to 15 or something like that. But I'd say probably about 12. I could feel good about a dozen, you know what I'm saying, on the fitness instructor stuff.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
And then martial arts.
Oof. And then martial arts teaching, like I said, that's about 25, 30 years ago. So I started teaching martial arts coming out of college. So I'm 20 something years old at that time. So yeah, I'd say about, like I said, about
close to 30 years.
Yeah, close to 30 years. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we know each other very well.
Yeah.
We do the pod, but I feel like on the pod, people don't really get to hear this. It's more, oh, here's what I think you should do in the gym, or here's what such and such person did wrong, or us being silly. But I feel like, you know, this is kind of a different platform. And so I just wanted to give people a better look at Sensei Dre, you know what I mean? But we could go to the next question, which is, Is teaching so many people and so many different ages more taxing on you physically or mentally? Because I know you're doing all this movement throughout the day. I mean, maybe not so much with the more recent gig of the, helping people become better teachers.
Teaching artists.
Yeah, for teaching artists, maybe you're not physically doing so much there. Right. But I know with fitness, you often work out with your clients. Mm-hmm. I know with martial arts, I've seen myself, whether it's a kata or teaching them how to kick properly or doing push-ups, whatever thing it is, you're usually doing it with them.
Yeah.
And so that part to me is a little obvious of, okay, yeah, this is a guy who physically is doing a lot to his body. But then I think there's also this mental side of you work with small children, teenagers, adults, different ages, different classes.
Yeah.
And so which one is more taxing?
See, I wouldn't use the word taxing.
Okay.
Because I enjoy it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't really see it as taxing. I could use the word challenging.
Okay.
Because all it does, if you master the challenge, is make you a better teacher. Okay. You know what I mean? So, as you know, when I was, when we met, I was teaching,
what they call school age kids.
Yeah, school age kids.
Because before the middle school program, it was kids
like third grade, second grade, first grade.
Right. It was kids ages 6 to 12.
Right. Now,
originally when we first met.
Yes. Now, but in that time of kids from 6 to 12, to be honest with you, I would do whatever I needed to do to not have the smaller kids. Mm-hmm. So I never really did kindergarten, or if there was a pre-K program, some of them schools have pre-K. I would talk my way out of not getting those kids, and I want to get the older kids. So I would always, like back in the days when we met, be like, oh, I'll take the 6th graders, I'll take the 5th graders, I'll take the 4th graders. I didn't really go too much lower than maybe 3rd. I didn't really mess with that. So I didn't really start messing with like kindergarten, littler kids till about 11 years ago.
Okay.
And failed miserably. Yeah, bro. I was like, I can't believe how hard kindergarten is. Yeah. But I knew how to get better at it because I understand the dynamics of teaching. Here's the thing, and I might be jumping ahead of myself in terms of your questions, but it's like, all good. The way that you become a good teacher is to be a great student.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? And so I was just like, I'm failing at my kindergarten class. So I had all classes, kindergarten up to 6th or 7th grade, and 7th grade easy, 6th grade easy, whatever. But kindergarten at first was always like really hard.
That was your weak point.
I was weak at that. And so on my lunch breaks, I walked into the kindergarten class and I would ask the teacher 2 questions. 1, how long have you been teaching? And 2, can I watch? And I was looking for like big numbers. Oh, I've been teaching kindergarten for 15 years. I've been teaching kindergarten for 10 years. Because as a teacher, I respect people who've been doing it for a long time, like myself. Right. If you've been doing it for a long time, you've reached mastery. You know what I'm saying?
You put your 10,000 hours in.
You black belt in this shit. So I'm like, okay, now I just want to sit inside your classroom
and observe.
Pen, paper. Okay. Oh, when he say that, you do that. Okay, when they ask for that, you immediately, and I just would,
right.
Use my lunchtime to learn.
Okay.
Because, and I just want to put this out there, like the so-called training that they gave me, garbage. Because it's like, how are you going to train me when you haven't taught these type of kids?
Hey, there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. But I know that in order for me to really learn, I got to learn from a person who has doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You could learn how to, dig ditches by going to a college lecture on ditches. Right. Or you can find somebody who's been digging ditches for like 15, 20 years.
Grab a shovel.
And they're going to be like, yo, I may not have ever been to college or wrote a thesis on this, But I've been doing this for 25 years, and
Right.
I'm the most efficient ditch digger I know. I'm like, I'm gonna watch you do this.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I know, like, if you want to get good at something, you got to watch the experts do it, and hopefully they allow you to watch them, and they'll teach you a thing or two.
Okay.
Maybe answer a couple of questions.
Right.
You know, and so that's what I did, and I started getting better and better at it and better at it. And so now at the point, you could put me in a room of all kindergartens and pre-K.
Right.
I got this.
Got you.
You know
So
what I
the
mean?
answer is, it was more challenging mentally,
Yeah, because I didn't have the skill set.
and then you went and got the kids.
Yeah. I went and got that skill set. I'm
Okay.
like, nah. And that's really what you got to do, man. You just got to go out there and get with the skill set you need.
I agree.
You know?
And so this is a little tricky.
Yeah.
Maybe, I think. Which do you enjoy more? Teaching martial arts, teaching teachers, or being a fitness instructor?
Man, you know, it kind of depends on the day and the student or whoever I'm teaching.
So it's no overall.
Nah, it's
It
not
varies.
an overall. Yeah, it varies.
Okay.
It varies. I like the good students. So if I'm teaching martial arts and it's somebody that's like hungry and they just want more and they love.
Like Neo.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I mean, you could be saying like Neo, but let's be more, let's extrapolate on that. So when Neo is being fed all these martial arts,
Right.
the dude that's feeding him the martial arts is like, whoa, this is nuts.
Yeah,
This
he
dude,
said this guy's a machine.
he just keeps getting more and more. I'm feeding every type of art into this dude, and he's just soaking it up. That's what every teacher wants, is that
Right.
when I'm teaching you, you are loving this thing. You're loving the challenge of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No one wants to be with the person, the student that's like, this is hard. I don't like. When is it? Can I get this? Can we? I don't. And it's like, oh man, so you're gonna complain the entire time? This is not fun for
Right.
either of us, right? So that's really what I would say. And even when it comes to like fitness and doing fitness instructor stuff, it's like it's sort of the same thing. I love the client that's like asking me questions. I noticed that we are doing this and doing that. Why is that? In fact, I always tell people, I think I'm like the worst fitness instructor because I instruct the way I teach, meaning that I'm teaching you to get better at this so you won't need me after a while.
Ah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I'm not one of these instructors that make up weird exercises so that I can always be part of the exercise, right?
Got it.
I'm like, and you train with me, I'm like teaching you while we're doing it. No, you don't want to do it that way because that's going to try to do it this way, do it this way.
Right.
Take your time, stop right here, take a breather. If you are picking up and you're hungry and you're eager for everything I'm teaching you, as time goes on, you're like, I got this. I think I can.
See you later.
Yeah, I may not need to,
Can I just call you?
do it right. I may not need to do any more classes or courses with you because I got it. And now some people may like see, you lost a client. But what I told you in the beginning is like, well, no, I'm depositing into you, you know? Now, I don't feel like that's a loss. I feel like I've taught this person, how to fish, so they don't have to ask me for
Right.
fish.
Right.
You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, I dig that. I know the answer, but I ask this every interview.
Yeah.
Do you view yourself as a self-care expert?
I don't know. I'm expert. I don't know if I would say expert. I mean, I'd say I view myself as a self-care practitioner.
Okay.
Yeah. That the practice of self-care, like any practice, is always evolving.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's not, you do these 1, 2, or 3 things and that's self-care. It's like, oh, there's some new information about et cetera, yo, let's start incorporating that into it. I learned this other thing, so you should always be practicing and getting better at self-care, however that means for you. But I feel like I'm always a student of that, of the best ways to take care of yourself. And if I find some new thing or discover something that I didn't know about before, I'm like, oh, yo, so did you know that?
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, I'm doing that now.
Right.
Yeah.
Self-experimentation.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, as a sensei, in your opinion, what's the best way for people to practice self-care?
Well, I think it starts with being honest with yourself, like wherever you are, whatever that starting point is. And then once you accept this is the level that I'm at, and then saying, okay, projecting yourself to where you think you want to be.
Okay. And
then doing things on a daily basis that gets you there. Every day doing something that's going to get you to what that goal is.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, as I said before, the 100,000-mile journey starts with the first step.
Right.
So, as long as you're doing something every day, it gets you to, wherever you want to go in terms of self-care. So it's a daily thing.
Okay. So doing something every day that benefits you and your goals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, I also was put and then enjoying it. You should be enjoying that whatever your self-care is, whatever your self-care regimens are, it should be fun to you, Okay. Because if
it's more challenging when it's not fun.
Yeah, if it's a pain, you're not gonna do it. You're gonna do it maybe for a week. You do it for maybe a month. But when I see you in 3 months, you're gonna be, oh yeah, I don't do that no more. Why? Right. I got tired of it because I had to keep doing blah blah blah. So finding ways to make it enjoyable.
Okay, I think that's a great tip.
Yeah.
How do you juggle being a teacher of all of these things?
Yeah.
And a businessman?
The businessman part is really hard for me. I wish we lived in a society where I didn't have to be a businessman. I wish we lived in an abundant society where things weren't about money and you have to have money and you got to pay this bill. I really.
The sensei of socialism?
I mean, not necessarily socialism, but I was calling me the sensei of it, but a place of abundance where, everything is just available for everyone, Mm-hmm. But that's a fantasy and that's not where we live. And so, honestly, the business part, I am a student, man. I'm, because it's always changing, you know. Even you were like, yo, Dre, you gotta get on Instagram. I was like, but I don't want to get on Instagram.
Right.
But Dre, you have to get on Instagram. But I don't want to get on Instagram, you know? And only until listening to you and other people, and you know how it was, because you had to damn near force me, Dre, step one,
right.
Pick up your phone, check. Step 2, download Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. Step 3, create
an account.
Right. Yeah. It was really that. Yeah. I had to go through all that with you. I was so not against it. I mean, so against it that was just ugh. But I mean, you were right. It's this is where business is now. This is not, you see how long you've been doing it. So this is not the 90s. This is not, you can't just make a flyer, Dre.
You can.
You can, but someone told me before, because I have a website, right? And this person is a photographer, and she was doing really well. And I was like, oh man, you're doing really well. What's your website? She was like, Instagram is my website.
Bing.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh, you ain't even trying to get a website? But what about a website? And now I realize I wouldn't take down my website. But what I'm saying is a website is not as important as a social presence, right? So that's something I had today, right? And that's the thing, the art of business, I'm very much a student in. I'm very much on some maybe yellow belt now. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say I'm a white, but I wouldn't say I'm just beginning, but I'm definitely not I've mastered the art of business. No, I have not. You know what I mean? I'm very honest about that. And I try to get help, as much as I can. In fact, I want to spend some more time studying the new tool of AI, because I'm realizing, I'm watching my partner, and it's like, you could get so much more done if you know what these tools are.
Yep.
And there's so many of these tools now. So I'm like, I need to get my white belt in AI and start studying that, because I see how it really does help. And I'm using some of the tools, but the art of business is always changing and evolving. So it's like, what you told me to do 6-7 years ago or whatever, I'm not saying it's irrelevant, but it's a lot more to add on to that now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, the business part is really hard for me. I gotta admit that. Yeah.
I dig it. And real quick, this was not part of it, but because you mentioned AI, I think it's interesting how society has kind of conditioned us to view AI as this separate thing. Mm-hmm. We use AI all the time. We just don't say this thing is AI, right? We just say, oh, it's something my phone does. It's something Instagram does. Right. It's something, whatever, the photo editor app does. It's AI.
Like,
You didn't take a person out of your picture just because. Right. That was AI. Right. AI knew there was a person there and said, hey, we noticed somebody's in your background. Do you want to remove that person from your background?
Right.
You can do it with this button.
Or even way back than that, when people are like, oh, do this for the algorithm, do that for the algorithm. They're talking about AI.
They're talking about AI.
It's not a dude named Algorithm sitting back going, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let him do this.
He wants to see more business stuff. I'm going to give him more business stuff to look at.
It's not a person. It's an artificial intelligence that's looking at your choices and then saying, well, because you like these choices, you'll probably like these choices.
Exactly.
And what's so weird about that is we find it uncomfortable or sometimes even scary, but everyone admits that it's right. It's like, don't be trying to act like you know me, YouTube. Yeah, you're going to suggest something. Oh, but actually, that is kind of interesting.
Actually, that is super fly.
I didn't know that you would.
Actually, I didn't even know that it was out. That came out already? Let me watch
those
this
are some
right
good
quick.
suggestions. You know what? You were right. You were right. Algorithm.
Yeah. I mean, and not to say that it's perfect or that it does these things instantly, but my point is, we've kind of already very quickly been conditioned to say, oh, that is AI. Oh, that is AI. There's tons of AI. Why are we looking at it as this separate thing? Like, this is the lamp. It's not the lamp. It's in all your shit already. Like, it's integrated already in our lives very frequently. Like, we look at it today like this other separate new strange thing, and it's like, it's only because you're not recognizing all the AI that's already in your life.
Right. It's learning your patterns, the things that you like, but it's also learning the patterns and things what everybody else is like, and they're putting them all together.
Oh, the algorithm.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just AI in general.
But that's really how AI works, right? How did it get so smart? It didn't get smart overnight. It kept learning this and watching you and putting it all together.
Yeah. How does it know there's a person in your picture? Because they gave it 8 million pictures to look at and figure out, oh yeah, these are all different things and people. Let's remove them.
Yeah, when you say, okay, the Tesla car is self-driving. Well, that's AI.
Right.
How can it know to drive unless it learned many at different times?
Yeah.
This is what to do, this is what not to do. You see a person, don't knock it over.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
stop at the red light.
Apply brakes, etc. All that is AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to our questions.
Yep.
As someone who does so much, how do you practice self-care?
So yeah, like I just said, like I do a bunch of things like daily.
Like
Know
what?
what I mean? So
I know some of the answers, but
that's cool. Yeah, so let's say when it comes to fitness, like I try to get into the gym every day, and if I can't make it into the gym every day, I try to do some sort of physical thing. It could be like riding my bike or going for a walk, or just recently walking on my walking pad for an hour. we talked about this on our pod, but something as simple as like, I'm going to take a nap.
That's a fact.
That is self-care, you know?
Yes, it is.
I'm at the point now in my life, it's like, I'm not burning out for anyone anymore. I did that at one point in my life. I will never do that again. I will never say that this thing is worth me burning out for. I recognize when I'm tired and I recognize when I'm sleepy, and I allow my body to take the rest that it needs. That's self-care.
I'm not so good with that one.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this checklist never ends.
Yeah.
I gotta get at least some of these things done. I'll sleep less today.
And I want to say, like, when I was probably about your age, I was that way, you know, and through situations and circumstances, I learned not to be that anymore. And just like, yo, I got to put myself first because nobody else will.
That part.
You know what I mean? Like we get these jobs and we feel like these jobs are so important. I gotta do this and I gotta do that. But what we don't want to say is, you know what? If I dropped dead today,
they'd just hire another person.
They'd cry and they'd send,
maybe not the job.
They'd send flowers to my people, and you know, they'd take a moment of silence. But by next week, my job would be listed in something to be filled. And within a month, there'd be a new cat there.
Yeah.
See, we don't want to say that part, right? Because we want to feel like we're so important. Mm-hmm. But if you understand that, yo, you're replaceable. So understanding that, rather than you burning yourself out, understand that, hey, it's more important for you to get into a place of wellness and balance than it is to be on this overdrive bullshit.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. I say all the time, we should all be aiming for balance.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What happens when we don't love ourselves?
Well, you can't love others if you don't love yourself. You know what I mean? It's virtually impossible to love yourself or love anything without first loving yourself.
Okay.
So that being said, the opposite is also true, meaning like if you have hatred or discomfort with yourself, you're going to have that with everyone else. You know, people who feel badly about themselves feel badly about others. They put others down. They see everything as kind of like negative because they haven't embraced within. So everything external is like garbage and trash.
So you're saying Lauryn Hill was right when she said, how you gonna win when you ain't right within?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, music has so much philosophy in it, you know what I mean?
You know, I'm a firm believer in that.
You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely.
Right. Well, you already answered our next question, so I'll skip it because you kind of just answered it. Mm-hmm. How often do you take time to take care of yourself? And so you said every day you do something, but...
Right. I mean, all the time, man. Like, all the time. Like, not to sound like it's all about me, because I definitely believe in caring for people, and I love to take care of people. And, you know, I'm a teacher. I'm always giving. But that's just the key right there. It's like, because I know I'm always giving, I can't deposit into you or anyone else if I don't deposit into me or allow someone or something else to deposit into me.
Right.
So, you know, as much as I'm giving, I have to take time out and stop and say, okay, I need to refill my bucket. And I try to do that on a daily basis in some way or some form, you know. Learning something new, you know, sometimes, I mean, we live in this information age, right? So sometimes it might just be like, oh man, like I'll get on a YouTube and watch this video and be like, oh, that's dope. You know, I'm going to use that in my practice. Or reading some book or something. It's like, oh, I could use that, you know, or getting with other experts in a particular thing. You know, a lot of times.
Like your kindergarten example.
Yeah. Or a lot of times, like, not every day so much, but quite often, like I get on the phone with my partner Doug and just be like, yo, Doug, I'm teaching this, blah, blah, blah. Yo, how do you feel about this and that? And, Doug being a higher ranking than me, having more experience than me in martial arts, and he has a lot of experience in a lot of other things, but, he'll be like, yo, Dre, this is what you should do with this. Do this, do that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what's up. So that's him teaching me. You see what I'm saying? So now I could take that and I could deposit that into other people. You see what I mean? So we all constantly need to be fed in order to feed.
I dig that.
Yeah.
What role does martial arts play in self-care?
I like to say that martial arts for me, because I've been doing it for so long, inspires almost everything that I do.
Okay.
And the essence of martial arts really is just balance and self-discipline. A lot of people say, oh yeah, I need to get into martial arts because he need discipline. I'm like, well, martial arts doesn't discipline you. Martial arts makes you discipline yourself. And it's a big difference. If you want discipline, you can go into the military because people will tell you what to do. 06, we're doing this, and at 0800, we're doing that.
Right.
Martial arts is like, do those things on your own. Go home and practice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you could always tell the students that practice is like, you've been practicing, and the ones that don't, it's like, you look exactly the same way that I saw you last time. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's self-discipline. If you want to do it, you'll do it. If you don't want to do it, no one's going to make you do it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but I feel like, that's really what it is for me, is like this sense of like, hey, I'm going to do these things, on a daily, to sort of like invest in myself, no matter what that thing might be.
Okay.
Yeah. And martial arts, being that it's an art of balance, I'm always trying to, balance things. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Making sure I'm not overly doing one thing and not doing, I'm always trying to find that balance, because balance is delicate.
Yes, very.
So you always are moving this way to move that way.
Correct.
It's always swaying, what I mean? It's not static. It takes management, life management, to constantly keep it balanced.
Yeah, that was a great point. I agree, because even on a scale, if you put just one little thing here, it could tip the other side the whole other direction.
Right. And then you open the window and the window blows.
Right.
And then that causes that scale to be unbalanced because the wind is blowing. Now you have to do something.
Right.
And so you might, since the wind is blowing, let me take a fan out, and then that balances it.
Right.
So you always have to be managing things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost done here. As a sensei, what are 3 things you think everyone should be doing to take care of themselves?
Well,
and you can answer sensei as martial arts or sensei as the broader term you gave it in the beginning of the interview.
I feel like it's all the same. Like I said, my life is really influenced by martial arts. And so as a martial artist, I believe that every person is 3 things.
Okay.
And that is, you are mind, body, and spirit.
Okay.
And so those 3 things you should always be depositing into. In fact, those are the 3 things you need to keep balanced: mind, body, and spirit. So you don't want to be all or nothing in any one of those things. So for example, you take mind, right? Well, mind is where it's where you learn things, basically, your mentals, as we used to say. So it's like, you don't want to be that person that's super duper 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 smart, but can't apply anything. Physically you're weak. You can't do you smart as hell. You're one of the smartest people I know, but you're like overweight or really weak. You haven't developed your body. You developed the mind, but the body's not being developed. Well, you don't want to have the crazy super fly bodies, man, your body is gorgeous, hard body all the time, you look great. But you have a hard time reading or putting sentences together because you didn't invest into the mind, you don't want to be like, let's say, super spiritual. You pray all the time and you meditate and you might go to church and you have like this super spiritual sensitivity about things, but at the same time, you eat unhealthy and you have diabetes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're always, for me, you're always balancing those three things: mind, body, spirit. Mind, body, spirit. I'm doing something. If I'm trying to stimulate my mind by, let's say, reading something or listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube. YouTube University, as they call it, right? Okay, boom, mind stimulated. Or I might, have a conversation with you, and you put me on, Dre, you ain't know about blah, blah, blah. Oh man, you stimulating me, you know what I mean? Like we try to be around people, at least for me anyway, that stimulate us intellectually.
Right.
Like, oh, that's what's up. But I get to the gym, I'm stimulating my body. You know what I'm saying? Whether I'm doing strength training or running or martial arts or something, you know what I'm saying? When I'm meditating, you know what I'm saying? Learning how to be still and things like that. This is more of like spiritual, stimulation for me, Even something like fasting, which is for the body, but fasting is also very spiritual. You know what I mean? So one thing can fall into a lot of those different buckets. You know what I'm saying? You could be reading, which is like intellectually stimulating, but what if you're reading some philosophical thing, which is more spiritual? Maybe you're reading your Bible. Maybe you're reading the teachings of the Tao. Maybe, you're reading the teachings of Buddha. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh man, this is really opening me up spiritually as well. You know what I'm saying? So just those three things everyone has, you should always be thinking about in terms of like, how am I growing
in those three places?
In those three areas: mind, body, and spirit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What is self-love?
Self-love for me is gratifying yourself, right? Without the expense of others, without putting others down.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Learning how to love, accept yourself, gratify yourself, lift yourself up. But I don't have to put you down or lift me up.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm so good because I don't have tattoos like you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why do I have to put you down to bring me up? You know what I mean? So self-love means seeing you, accepting you, gratifying yourself without the expense of other people. No one else has to be involved in you gratifying yourself.
Okay. I like that definition.
Yeah.
Last question. Is self-love self-care?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, things like, all reference of self-care to anything you could think of, something as simple as cleaning yourself, something as simple like, I'm gonna use this product rather than that product because this product helped me with whatever. That's self-love, that's self-care, and we know that because I always like to analyze something by looking at the opposite of it.
Okay.
Right? So if it's like, well, if I don't brush my teeth, right? I'm showing no care for my teeth.
Right.
Do I really love myself then?
Right.
Because I'm allowing a part of me to rot.
To decay, right?
To decay, right? So if I say that I love myself, then whatever is the maintenance and upkeep in this example of dental hygiene, I need to engage in that.
Right.
And that may mean, brushing and flossing And every now and then going in to see a professional so they can take a look at things and
Right.
make sure you're on this like good dental health journey, you know?
Yes.
And I feel that that's what we really all need. It's like experts in different things to help us in these different journeys, right? It's like
I agree.
Right?
That's
It's like
part of why I created this series.
yeah, it's like if you want, you know, better eyesight,
Right.
it's only but so much you can do as a person.
Yeah, you got to go.
One day you're going to have to make this phone call and be like, can you help me? You know what I mean? Right. It's like, okay, good. You know, and this is why I do what I do as a teacher, because it's like, you know, as a fitness instructor, it's like, hey, people want to get in shape, people want to get this, but they need help, you know, and and if you can help somebody with that, you know, you help them. But in all your journeys and the things of self-care and self-love, as you go through that journey, you know, you're going to need people to help you along.
I agree.
You know, we were watching, you and I, you know, we've known each other for a long time, but we were watching, both of us, the Arnold Schwarzenegger joint, and we did a little pod on it. And
His Netflix doc.
it was Netflix. What did I just say?
No, I'm just saying to the people what it was.
Oh yeah, it was his Netflix documentary of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And you know, one of the things that made me watch it and recommend that you watch it, it was like, yo, his honesty, you know, he's up there in age now, 70s, 80s, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna be honest with, like, I am not a self-made man. I don't want anyone ever saying that.
Right.
In order for me to do all the things I've done
each time.
being a super dope bodybuilder,
Right.
people helped me. Becoming the governor of California, people helped me.
Acting.
You know, having not just acting, but blockbuster movies year after year after year.
Right.
People helped me.
Right.
All throughout the way. I owe so many people so many things because there's absolutely no way I could have done this by myself.
Right.
And that was super important for me to hear. And I'm like, that's the most important thing people need to get from this documentary, is that don't start this journey thinking you could do it all on your own. You're not going to go far. Mm-hmm. You definitely need people. And I understand that when you involve people, a lot of times people stab you in the back, people do horrible things.
They're
people
unreliable.
Can be shady, unreliable, and I get that. So you gotta create a process to weed some of these dumb mofos out, you know? And when you can find good cats, treat them well. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
So they could treat you well, and then this is how you sort of excel, you know, and get through things. I know so many people who are quote unquote spiritual, and they pray to God, and it's like, God, help me with this, God, help me with that. And they're thinking that the clouds are gonna open up and some light is gonna come down and God is gonna be like, I heard your prayer, this is what I'm gonna do for you. No, well, what does God do for you if you believe in that?
Right.
God sends people. It's disciple, even if you read the Bible, every time somebody prays for something, he sent a person. People are your blessings.
Right.
You know? So if you think you're gonna live this life and stay tucked away and not mess with anybody, you're never gonna get blessed.
Right.
You have to engage with people.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? That's where your blessings are. Your blessings are in someone else. Your blessings is inside of someone else, and you are a blessing to somebody else.
That's right.
And this is how we engage. And whether you want to believe in God or not believe in God, but the thing is, our blessings and our curses are through people. You know what I mean? So I really feel like, yo, if we understood that, we'd probably treat each other a lot better.
Yep. The sensei of philosophy.
Sensei of philosophy, bro. I got so much philosophy.
Oh, I know. That's our shit.
That's exactly
our shit.
what.
But, you know, just here, you know.
But I ain't being poor.
I only have my dreams.
And I'm going to spread them beneath your feet.
No. Tread softly.
Tread softly
Because
for your treading.
I spread my dreams beneath your feet. And so you're treading on my dreams.
You're treading on my dreams. Preston.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, Sensei Dre.
It was great. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you.